Welcome to Chapter 10. In Chapter 10, we'll look at alternative marketing strategies. With the growth of social media and really multiple avenues for marketers to reach out to consumers, traditional marketing and the elements that we talked about in the previous chapter have taken a big directional change as far as its integration with some of these new channels that are opening up. Traditionally, teens and young adults uh, have been exposed to your TV commercials and your print ads, but now there's a multitude of channels by which they are essentially brought into contact with different product offerings and a number of different types of marketing, if you will, and the hyper targeting we talked about earlier as well. So in this chapter, we'll look at an array of different types of alternative marketing, from video marketing to new niches that are developing. We'll examine buzz marketing, guerrilla marketing, lifestyle marketing, and again, just the different ways that marketers are reaching out and communicating with their based audience. We'll examine the methods that are used, some of the alternative media venues, particularly in video games and the development of the smartphone. Now that my daughter knows how to use an iPad and she's only 3, she is perpetually exposed to a number of ads within the free games that we download for her. In addition, she is well accustomed to YouTube and also the YouTube commercials that pop on prior to being able to watch My Little Ponies or whatever else that we're trying to expose her to. But as an overview, we'll look at the different elements that are presented in this new alternative approach. Again, when we talk about, say, guerrilla marketing and using grassroots movements, we'll bring up the elements that are there. And we'll look at in-store marketing that is actually pretty effective in retail stores. You wouldn't believe it, but there might actually be a strategy putting the candy right beside the checkout counter at eye level to your 3-year-old or to your 2-year-old, or particularly that new labyrinth of checkout process that Old Navy has you run through when you go and buy clothes, where they strategically position toys. A lot of that elements fall into some of what we're talking about now. But when we look at this from a 20,000 foot perspective, it really requires creativity and imagination and identifying the intersex path, essentially, particularly when you look at alternative media programs, as we've seen again and again with this list that's presented, but we'll go in a bit more depth here. So when we talk about buzz marketing, it's kind of a word of mouth marketing. It's highly credible because it's coming from a source that generally you trust instead of a corporate message that's spun off. There's a lot of growth in this. Now it's a $1 billion industry annually, and there are different methods of generating buzz. Such as finding consumers who like your product, sponsored consumers, companies or agencies that are specifically hired to generate buzz for your particular product. Ideally, you want to find somebody who uses your product and who can be an ambassador. Somebody who can do it in person or perhaps over the internet through chat rooms, blogs, emails. When we had a renovation at Residence in Midtown in Atlanta, we looked at bringing in a guest blogger, a stay-at-home mom who just happens to be creative with her ability to write, and featured a staycation, more or less, for our hotel to try the new renovated rooms to generate this type of buzz. Now, for sponsored consumers, you'll need an agent or advocate for a new brand, essentially, brand ambassadors or really customer evangelists. You can think of them as that category as well. They're usually individuals who already like the brand. You can offer them incentives for exchange for talking about your products. and you can use them to really champion your effort. Again, it's about an honest relationship. It's about me going to my peers and telling them about the new product that I'm using, be it be the running shoes that I just bought, or perhaps the Bluetooth headset that I use when I work out. And there are different ways to really target and hone in on what we call influencers, if you will. In fact, there's analytics out there that's available for you to look at to see on Twitter how popular somebody is, or how influential somebody is within the social media network. Um, Now, house parties are extremely popular, and can generate a lot of income. When I first was looking for work in high school, I was exposed to Cutco knives, which is essentially vector marketing. What they did is they trained people who were in high school or a little bit older than that as well, told them they can earn $20 an hour. All they have to do is demonstrate a presentation, and the advantage that these Cutco knives offered regarding fine cutlery. And even to this day, I remember the message they drilled down into me, being that this product is superior because it's a full tang, three-prong ivory handle knife that can go in the dishwasher. And the problem with wooden handles is that they splinter and bacteria can get in it, but ivory is not so porous and smooth and blah, 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 blah. And it goes on. But it's an excellent avenue because in one sense, it's almost direct selling. In another sense, it's also kind of that personal relationship that is present, because you're inviting your friends' friends, and things of that nature. I ended up quitting, I think, as soon as I found out how much the knives were, because they required me to buy the knives, of course at a discount, but as a high schooler, I really didn't have $300, $400 to shell out on knives that I could use to sell knives to somebody else. There are occasions when companies pose as customers, but it's a highly risky approach, and it's really not effective in my opinion. We've had hotels that have sent their employees to put fake TripAdvisor listings. As soon as TripAdvisor gets wind of you doing that, they'll shut you down, and it's just too risky. You want word of mouth marketing to be focused on relationship. It has to be honest, and it really has to be something that gets people motivated, and not that a hard sell. Now, for buzz marketing, there's a couple different stages. There's the inoculation stage, the incubation stage, and the infection stage. And each stage can present its own challenge. In the beginning, when you're trying to launch a new brand, it can become difficult to really get people motivated. We're launching the Marriott AC in Kansas City. It's going to be the first Marriott AC of its kind in the United States. Well, possibly the first. There's two others that are opening up. It all depends, I guess, on who strikes the ground first with their construction. But because it's a new product, or really a product extension, there'll be a lot of PR that's involved in launching this particular hotel, above and beyond what we would normally do if we were to launch a new Marriott full service, a Residence Inn, or even a Hyatt, Regency, Hyatt Place, so on and so forth. We'll really have to focus on getting the word out, and we're hiring a PR agency to do that. Now, there has to be distinguishable elements about the brand. It has to be unique, it has to be new, and it has to perform better in order for it to be noteworthy, for people to actually talk about it. It has to stand out, essentially, has to be memorable. The Marriott AC is popular in Europe, but not very well known here. Now, the Marriott brand has its great leverage, but nobody knows about the AC, or really the type of hotels. So you want your customers to get involved, and you want it to be genuine. Again, based upon customer experience, customer engagement, so that they'll tell other people. Because by nature, we talk to our friends about products we like, about things that we're excited about. I remember I went to lunch with our director of revenue management and he bought the new BMW blah 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 series, and I don't know what the heck he was talking about. I don't drive a Beamer, I drive a used car, but essentially he was passionate about it, and he was telling me about all the neat features, how it can launch the internet at your voice command, it integrates with your iPhone, and that Apple will be soon making apps for this with CarPlay, and I just was kind of listening to be polite, but he was passionate about it. BMW didn't hire him to do that. It simply escaped from him because of his passion. When we talk about guerrilla marketing, um, it has to focus on regional areas and involves interacting with customers and creating excitement. And again, the goal is to generate a buzz, but to do it from a grass effort, using alternative media, social media, and really an integration. It's often utilized in smaller organizations in order to generate uh, attention to your brand or your product if you don't have a lot of money to spend on advertising, if you will. Now, in order to use this, there's several reasons that have to really go into guerrilla marketing as far as being the ideal channel. You have to find new ways to communicate with your customers. You have to interact with your customers that's in unique ways. Um, and you have to have the ability to advertise to them in some shape, or way, or form. Um, you can create a buzz once you develop relationships with consumers. Regarding lifestyle marketing, this is associated with hobbies and entertainment. And it's really contact customers where they go for relaxation, excitement, socialization, and enjoyment, where they live their life. Now, experimental marketing can be a combination of a number of things: direct marketing, field marketing, sales promotion. Direct marketing really through interactive connections. Again, you want to engage your customer. So when we talk about, say, Cadillac, they look at where some customers might be, such as maybe opening up golf clinics, maybe doing a culinary tour, high performance driving, things of this nature, and it's really a mix. Um, and with this particular marketing, you want to be clear, you want to be concise, and you want to target a particular segment. Identifying the right time, the right place, and more importantly, engaging them in the right emotional state, engaging them logically, and clearly revealing the brand's promise as far as the value offer. Now, product placement and brand entertainment is important. And we'll talk in a little bit more detail about this. But product placement has been popular going back to the basically 1890s. There was a big surge in 1982 with ET and Reese's Pieces. Product placement is about increasing awareness, more positive attitudes towards a brand, and maybe it won't have a immediate impact on sales, but long term, because of the association, it builds brand equity. Many of you might remember 24, and during the first season, you might have seen a lot of Max in that show, and you might have seen even the Palm trio featured in it. As it continued to evolve, all of a sudden you saw Dell, and there was this association to your character, Jack, and the types of devices that he or really he utilized. And regarding product placement, brands really want to connect on an emotional level and be recognized, because if that happens 43% of the time, there's an association with being able to recollect that brand. It increases, if you will, particularly the positive feelings that are woven into it. And again, you want this to be more in a storyline format, and really connect with the individuals. You'll also find this in novels, plays, songs, and movies. Now, here's an interesting statistic for you. We've got Coca-Cola as far as a top brand, and it's positioning on American Idol. And the fact that the judges have those Coca-Cola cups right there, that isn't simply because that was the only type of cup they were handing out at the water fountain, but it's actually strategically positioned that way. And you go down this list from Nike to Dancing with the Stars to Apple with Amazing Race, so on and so forth. Um, Now, there's some key factors in product placement and brand entertainment. Media, the type of media that's being utilized, and the supporting promotional activities. All of it have to work together and fit together. Consumer attitude towards that placement has to be prominent in this whole process, and the characteristics that you're going to try to position. And you have to watch out with the regulations that are in place. Now, reasons for increased spending. Basically, you want to have a stronger appeal in a non-advertising context. As we saw, advertisers spend millions of dollars on commercials in the last chapter, but that's in a particular context. Brands have to engage consumers outside of that context as well and really affect the perception that people have about their brand. Now, Starbucks is going to be offering alcoholic beverages here in the near future, and that's almost, well, it's not almost, it is brand extension. Because of the cognizant qualities associated with Starbucks, people won't necessarily hesitate to try alternative offerings from that same company because of the connection that's essentially there. But regardless of whether you're doing product placement, brand entertainment, long term, what you want to try to do is generate revenue through the process of positive association. Now, alternative media venues. There's video games, there's cinemas, subways, streets, mall kiosks, escalators, parking lots, almost to this day you can see advertising everywhere. We tried movie advertising where we had our ads show up at the Cinemagic theaters, and we didn't really get much of a draw from it. But we tried it. We did subway advertising. If you go around in the Kaler, you see advertising about the Kaler essentially, and can be effective if done properly. Now, video game advertising. It's a $7 billion per year spend on in-ad games. It's a very attractive market because 75% of online households spend at least 1 hour per month playing online games. That really isn't me, but my wife and daughter play games, really more my daughter on her iPad or my wife's iPad. And there's ads there that are placed on the games that she interacts with. Now, 27% on average spend 30 hours or more, and the primary market is between 17 to 34-year-old males, but with the proliferation of devices that can continue to expand, and it's a fast-growing market as well. Now, in game advertising, there's rotation in the advertising, there's interactive ads, there's game-related websites, and a number of things such as sponsored downloads. The benefits. It can make the game more enjoyable to some extent if the ads are in line with what they're pursuing in their particular activity. It increases brand recall and positive brand association. In regard to new video game technology, ads can change in real time. Say you're running a promotion, 20% off your product, blah, blah, blah. It's not working. You want to increase that. You can go to 25% by switching out the banner ad, which you can't do if it's a newspaper print ad that ran last week necessarily, or a magazine ad. Those are static, and you can't change them, if you will. Now, ads prior to movies is a great way to advertise because you've got a captive audience, and chances are they're going to watch whatever is present there, and it can vary as far as its advertising mediums. Alternative media, again, subways, parking lots, airlines. I tend to pay attention to all this advertising that I see around me, particularly because I'm a marketing guy, but perhaps you guys just kind of see it as clutter and you don't pay attention to it unless an ad really catches you, such as the health ads on the highways, on those billboards with a guy talking about getting a colonoscopy. That might catch your attention, or the plumber's butt billboard, I think that's on 14, that might catch your attention. But there's alternative media venues. Now, we talked about in-store marketing. 60% of purchase decisions typically are made in the store, and funds represent a small percent of budgets, essentially. In-store ads can be extremely effective, particularly when we talk about purchasing clothes. You walk into a J.C. Penney's and you see sales, and for whatever reason that triggers something in people to purchase more. This happens to me all the time when I go into a store with my wife. Oh, this is 10% off. Oh, this is 15% off. We end up walking away spending more money than we intended to walking into the store because of the sale that was there, and some dastardly marketer kind of devised that, and we fell right into it, more or less. Now, with in-store marketing tactics, there's some things you have to look at. Again, customer engagement is important. The most engaging places is the end of the aisle display, basically merchandising displays, and ceiling banners, overhead mobiles, the use of color, light, sound, taste, smell, motion. All of it is important. When we were walking in Target, actually my wife told me this story. When she was walking in Target, they had put in a big Elmo sign right above one of the aisles, and my son at the top of his lungs yelled Momo and pointed at it, and guess where they went? Right over there, if you will. I'm not sure if they walked away with an Elmo doll or something to that extent, but it certainly caught my son's attention. There's a number of different tactics that are being employed. There's in-store television ads, as Walmart's doing. And really, whatever you can engage the consumer with. You might even see it when you're walking down Bed Bath & Beyond. You see a little video about a product, or you can see that at Costco or wherever you shop. It might be also Sam's Club. I think they do that as well. Now, point of purchase tactics. Location is key. It's the last chance to reach the buyer. And we talked about this at the beginning of the chapter when we discussed essentially those dastardly marketers who put those merchandising options right before we hit the checkout, if you will. Not good for parents, particularly with kids. Not good for idle adults waiting in line, bored, because they might end up buying one of those items even for themselves, even though they don't need it. But it's extremely effective to increase sales because, again, 60% of decisions are in store. 50% of the money spent at mass merchandising in supermarkets is typically unplanned. And positioning is extremely important. Now, when we talk about the effectiveness of point of purchase displays, integrating the brand's image in the display is important, and that display has to be current and has to be engaging. They've done studies where they've actually traced where people's eyes fall as far as looking at different shelves, how much engagement is there, and they really go in depth with this type of analysis. And they want to measure the point of sale data even, and you can do that with the POSs that are in place. And how long the display has been there, how much they've sold, and it can be a very data-driven approach, if you will. Regarding brand communication, ultimately you want to demonstrate to the consumer the value you offer, so you engage with them and really develop brand loyalty and devotion to that brand. We're all, believe it or not, for the most part, devoted to one brand or another because we're creatures of habit. We develop these paradigms, these scripts in us that help us function more efficiently, effectively, and brands have taken advantage of that. So when I used to travel regionally, driving around from Mankato to La Crosse to Fairmont to Minneapolis to St. Paul, I got into the habit of finding quick trips and driving into those quick trips and getting gas because it's been ingrained inside of me. Before I got to Minnesota, never thought about a quick trip, never stopped in a quick trip. And what got me stopping in those quick trips on a regular basis was essentially the Red Bulls that they used to sell for $2. I'd see a big sign, I thought, hey, that's a good deal. So I go in there, find the restroom is clean, can use my quick trip card, gas up, and keep going. And then all of a sudden, I'm addicted to that brand more or less. Um, and again, you want to have a social identity and a bond with consumers that you're trying to engage with, and you want to provide value above and beyond just selling them a product. Um, you want to create benefits to encourage new customers to join. Hyatt is continually looking at ways to do that. I'm here at Atlanta at the Hyatt Regency for a conference, and I checked in. They greeted me by my name after I told them what my name was, but then when I go into my room, the TV is open, or open on rather, and there's my name written right there on the TV. Welcome, John Jimenez. That's an integration of your technology supporting the customization that's really possible nowadays with big data, if you will, which is very impressive. Now, there's some international implications that we have to look at, such as U.S. monitoring the use of alternative marketing, particularly for minorities, and just segmenting them out. And communicating the value that one brand offers in a different culture, if you will, and ad cluster on a global level, it can be a problem because of the use of alternative media tactics and really alternative marketing programs. So I hope you found this chapter useful. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Have a great day.